All right. Well, thank you for joining me. I'm excited to go over this presentation. I think I may just go ahead and rename it because I'm learning how so many people need to learn more about setting up a business. I know a lot of people may be new at setting a business up or running a business, and I've discovered that more people really have a solopreneurship, or they have a business that only has that one employee. So as you continue to grow, you'll find out that you need more and more employees. And so I want to encourage you in that and let you know that regardless of where you are in the right place. And I want you to take plenty notes. If you want to watch the replay of this webinar, you can do that as well. And so I'm excited that you are on this webinar. Feel free, if you do have questions, drop it in the chat. Just let me know your thoughts. And so I'm gonna do a real quick poll just to gauge those that are out there listening. I want to ask you, how old is your business? And so if you can just pop that into the poll, just so I know how old is your business, or you can, if you don't want to do the poll, you can drop it in the chat. Whether you're in the planning stage, less than 1 year, 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, 5 to 10, or more than 10. I know people come from different walks of life, and they may be in different phases in their business. So it's really important for me to know where you are, so I know how to best prepare you for the things you are trying to achieve. Okay, so it's important for me to know that. So just go ahead and drop that in, or you can place it in the chat. All right, I got you. So I also want to ask you if you know what your revenues were for last year. Some people feel embarrassed in sharing that. You shouldn't feel embarrassed at all, just because we all had to start somewhere. I have multiple businesses, and in one business I may be doing millions of dollars in revenue. Another business I'm only doing thousands of dollars in revenue. So it really doesn't matter where you are. I just want to get an idea where you are, so I can know how to speak to your situation. We'll go back to my slides and we'll start that. I'm gonna ask you a question. If you would just drop it in the chat. If money wasn't an issue, right now, and you can do anything in your business, what would you do? I want you to put that in the chat. If money wasn't an issue, because oftentimes I've discovered that people do not scale because of money. And I want to ask you this question: if money wasn't an issue, what would you do in your business? Go ahead and drop that in the chat. If money wasn't an issue, what would you do in your business? Some people say, well, I would add a marketing person or have marketing staff to generate more business. Or some people will say, I'll be able to hire another person because I need help, and I'm just, spending so many countless hours doing so many things. So everyone is in a different position in their business. But if money wasn't an issue, what would you do? Just drop that in the chat, just to give me an idea what you would do. And so I'm going to ask you this question: why do you want to scale? Why do you want to grow your business? You should identify the motive. Is it to relax more, like you see the gentleman on the left hand side? Is it so you can vacation more? Or maybe, just like this red ball, maybe you want to stand out. Maybe you want notoriety. I want you to ask yourself, why do you really want to scale? Some people want to grow for different reasons, but it's very important that you identify why, because the why will determine not only how far you go, but it'll also determine how fast. That's really, really important. Not only will it determine how far you go, but it'll also determine how fast. Just a few of my quotes. If you want any level of freedom, consistent growth is required. So in every area of your life, I want you to think about, yes, I want to be free, whether it's financially free, spiritually free, mentally free. Maybe you need more freedom in your time to do what you want. If you want any level of freedom, you have to continue to grow. What I discovered with most businesses and most entrepreneurs, we need to continue to grow more with our personal development more than just our business alone. I've discovered through many of my clients and other colleagues in my industries that I'm in, that their businesses only go as far as their own personal development. And so that's really important to note. Also, another quote, business must have a strong internal structure and systems which allows for clarity, transparency, replication, and growth. And we'll talk a little bit more about that and the reason why that is important. But I believe that if you want to have a growing business, you got to have a strong internal structure and systems that help clarify things. So people, when you hire that new staff person, as you saying, hey, I need another employee to help me do what I'm doing, you need clarity. That person will need clarity to understand your directions, because I found in all my businesses, no one can do it like Michael unless I train them to. No one can do it like Michael unless I get all the thoughts that are in my mind, outside of my mind, on paper so they can read it. No matter how many meetings I have with them, no matter how many times I tell them, people don't always remember what you said, but you can hold them accountable to what you wrote. All right, so I want you to just think about those things. Now let me give you some interesting fact. This was written by William Lieberman, and he describes the difference between growth and scale. Some people use these words interchangeably, but they're not the same. So people say, hey, I want to grow my business. Others say, I want to scale my business. Scale is different than growth. Let me show you how. Business growth is about increasing top line revenues at any cost, whereas scaling a business is about increasing revenues while minimizing your costs, effectively improving your bottom line or profit margin. Economists refer to this latter phenomenon as achieving economies of scale. So I want you to think about it this way. Your revenues are going up, but your expenses are coming down, and the difference between the two is your what they call your net profit. We want to see your net profit also increase while your revenues are also increasing. That is called scaling. So there's a significant difference, and it's really, really important to understand that. So let's talk about one of the most common questions I get asked, and I'm sure because you stated in my question, if money wasn't an issue, what would you do in your business? And I saw that you mentioned that you would hire someone. Here's often the question I received in that exact scenario: the chicken or the egg? Should I hire this person before I have enough revenues, or should I get the revenues first before I hire the person? I promise you, just this answer alone will be so valuable just for your attendance tonight. I want you to see this: the chicken or the egg, which one should I do? I want to ask you a question. I want you to analyze, are sales readily available? Think about this way: are sales readily available? Here's another question: are qualified employees readily available? That means, how easy is it to hire someone? How easy is it for you to make that sale? Can we minimize increased overhead? Meaning, overhead basically is any cost that cannot be absorbed in the price of the product or the service. It becomes what we call overhead. So for instance, if I'm not able to incur my costs for my time in the product or service that I sell, I'm overhead. Okay, so I have to absorb all my overhead with my profits. So can you minimize increased overhead? Are you being pursued? I want you to think about that. This is another sales piece. Are people chasing you down for your product or your service? Are you innovative enough to sustain a pandemic? That means, are you in the position that you can pivot and do something different? So why, you may ask, why did you ask me these questions? I'm going to tell you why. It's important for you to understand, if sales are not readily available, that means you may need to defer hiring that staff person. Why? Because you don't want to hire them and then a month later you have to lay them off. Or you don't want to hire that person and not be prepared to continue to keep them working. So you want to be in the position to identify, if I have enough sales coming in, and we'll talk about this a little later, that I'm able to build a pipeline of work, of what we call backlog. How much backlog do you have? So that means if I'm in the service industry, I want to be able to book work not only just for this month, but for next month and the following month, and go as far out as you can. And so that's really important as you build that pipeline of work. As you build that helps you to be in a better position to go ahead and hire someone, because you have enough work. So the other question was, are qualified employees readily available? Sometimes you will say, maybe I don't have enough pipeline or backlog, but it may take me more time to find the right person than it will take to actually obtain the sales. So if that's the case, then maybe, yes, you should go ahead and hire that person now, because it's so hard to find a person. Maybe they're not readily available in your industry. So if you're able to find someone that's qualified, that's loyal, and that's task oriented, and that's has great character, and it's going to be a great employee, maybe you should go ahead and hire. So those are some questions and some thoughts I like to suggest to those when they're trying to make this decision while they're growing and while they're attempting to scale, whether to hire staff first or increase their sales. All right, I hope you understood that. I always like to talk about that. But let's also talk about healthy scaling, what healthy scaling is, because just like eating a diet, that you can also have unhealthy scaling. Unhealthy scaling is growing too fast. And so I like to say it like this, and I'll just show you this little demonstration. This is a little mega block set, Lego set that I like to use. Just imagine that this is a building. Notice as it gets taller that its structure is not necessarily as in place, and it has some gaps and holes. And as you can see, it's starting to cantilever and have other issues going on. This is what happens when we start scaling and we start building so fast that we start building without structure. What I've come to find out with most entrepreneurs, they have a product that they love and they want others to have, or a product that solves a problem or provides a solution, or maybe they are offering a service and they love that service that they offer and they're passionate about it and they want others to enjoy it and they want to have their own freedom to do what they want and be their own boss. But what I've discovered is, because we have not been formally trained on how to run and operate a business, we normally start building like this, and we start having gaps in our business because we don't have systems in place. We start having gaps in our business because we don't have any processes in place. We don't have training in place to have our staff understand this is how it should be done. So anytime you go to a place like Chick-fil-A, almost all of us are greeted the same way. They tell you, it was my pleasure to take your order. There are certain things that they key in on, and it's because of their training. So it's very important to understand that systems, processes, and training help us to continue to build and to build soundly, so we avoid having these gaps, because the taller the building, the more important the structure is. All right, but let me give you some healthy scaling tips. You want to understand the market trends for growth. So every industry publishes market trends, and there's also certain trends for lending. Most banks, if you ever have to go to a bank for a line of credit, they're looking for you to grow anywhere between 5 to 20%. Normal trends, as I have on my slide, is 10 to 20% annually. But as long as you're in the black, meaning you're making money every year, most banks see that as a positive trend. Now, when you start to exceed 20% in growth, some banks start to question whether or not it's a fluke or whether you're doing something wrong or if you're growing too fast. Most companies that scale grow faster than 20%. Most companies that scale grow faster than 20%. And so it's important, if you're scaling faster than 20%, is to have that relationship with your bank to say, hey, I'm doing this intentionally. We're intentionally scaling and we're growing at this rate. And you're taking them along in the journey with you. And so they can help see what's all going on, and they can figure out, hey, what's the best way to support you so you do not have any issues with your funding. Some more tips for healthy scaling, as I showed you in these with the Lego set. You want to build down before building up. And what does that mean? You want to build down, meaning I want to build deep. That means I want to continue to enhance my systems and my structures and my processes. And maybe you're a solopreneur right now, but you can still start putting these things in place. That means I'm preparing for employees. I'm getting things ready. So when I hire someone, I have a manual. I have a staff manual that's already in place. When I hire someone, I've already have a training program in place to show them what to do and show them what not to do. So to think about it that way, building down is building the base and the foundation of the organization. What's your vision? What's your mission? What are your core values? What do you want your organization to speak to people even when they haven't spoke to you? Ooh, that was good right there. I want you to really think about that. Okay, horizontal scaling over longer durations. What does that mean? We want to continue to scale out over longer durations versus scaling up over shorter durations. And some of that may seem a little weird, but let me unpack that just a little bit. When we place systems and structure into your business, meaning we're helping you identify if you need talent development around your staff and your people, we're placing training programs for them, and we're placing different tools for them to interact with one another, doing gifts and personality assessments. All of those things help your employees and your staff know how to work with one another. That by itself will help you become more efficient. Your organization will become more effective. You will have less internal turnover, okay, in your organization. All of those things help you to continue to grow and to continue to scale even without building up first. So that's just some examples of that. You should always know your numbers. When you're in business, you should understand where you're going, where you are. So you should understand, what are your current revenues? How much are you generating weekly, monthly, annually? Okay, where are you trying to go? Understanding your margins. How much cash do you need in order to scale? That's one of the common factors I found. Most entrepreneurs want to scale and grow, but they don't understand how much money they need to grow. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're in the service industry, okay, but you need additional equipment for a new employee. So have you thought about the additional costs that, yes, you want to grow and scale, but now you've hired a new person. Now you have to invest more money into your company in order to provide what's needed for that new employee. So I want you to think about those things as well. So know your numbers. It's critical that you know your numbers. So that's what I help all of my clients do, is understand their financial statements, understand how to put a financial statement together, how to read those numbers, understanding those margins, and identifying if they're really ready to scale or not. Some additional tips for healthy scaling. Know your great customers. I know everyone would get a kick out of this. uh, I say this all the time, and this is my last point, is that go where you're loved. Know the customers that pay on time or pay early. That's a great customer. You pay me when you say you're going to pay me, you pay on time, or you even pay early. Think about that, because not all your customers will be a good customer. And there's nothing worse than having a bad customer. Don't consume your energy with problems. A great customer won't do that. They won't be always complaining unless they have something to complain about, but that's a whole nother topic. Great customers create more opportunity through referrals. They don't mind telling about your service or about your product to other people. They love you. And as you continue to scale, you have to identify great customers. It's very hard to scale. It's very hard to continue to build capacity without identifying your great customers. Your great customers should always be a part of your marketing strategy. I'm going to say that again. Your great customers should always be a part of your marketing strategy, because they're going to refer other business to you. So you should always be finding out, how can I help them? What else can I do for you? Is there something else I can provide to you? Even if I have to do it for free. Just because you're a great customer. Some more tips. Mentorship. If you want to scale and grow, find someone else that's already done it, that will not mind pouring into you. It's really, really important. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. There's always somebody else that's out there that's willing to invest in you. Now, I will admit, sometimes it may be challenging, it may be difficult to find those individuals, but I would encourage you to join any of the local organizations that may have a group around what you provide or what you do. So for instance, in construction, we have a construction association. So I would join that construction association to find others that do what I do. So I've done also joint ventures. Joint ventures are, and I'll give an example of one. My company, my construction company, ACY Contractors, we joined with another company called JCB, and we went after a $9 million contract because neither one of us believed we could win the project by ourselves. But together, we provided more resources, we provided an excellent team, and we had a good pitch for the project. And then we did a 50-50 joint venture. So all of the costs and the proceeds, we split it down the middle. Now, the interesting thing about a true joint venture, and it's different between one that's not a true, when I say a true joint venture, that means on paper. That means we established another business. So what happened was, on paper, ACY owned 50% of that joint venture company, and JCB owned 50% of that joint venture company. So though we own 50% of that new entity, everything that was generated, all the costs and income that was generated from that joint venture company came directly to our individual companies. So that's another way to scale without directly impacting your books. So what do I mean by that? Any costs related to that joint venture stay in the joint venture, but all the net proceeds came to ACY. My 50% of the net proceeds came to ACY, which enhanced my bottom line. So even though it didn't boost my revenues for ACY, it did boost my bottom line, my profits. All right, so that's just another little snippet out there. Another thing you want to make sure when you're scaling, you want to do healthy scaling, ensure you have sound counsel. You have a great attorney, you begin talking with your bank, and you have good insurance. And so insurance meaning your general coverage, your workers' comp, and your general liability. So as you scale and grow, there's more risk that's associated, and you want to make sure you manage those risks with insurance. I would say this about lenders and having a good relationship with the bank. Don't wait till you need a line of credit to get a line of credit. That's one of the largest mistakes I made in my business with money, was that I felt like, oh, I'm good, I don't need it. But then when I needed it, it was too late. My financials maybe were already strained because I was pushed for capital. But if I would have gone ahead and applied for the line of credit and received it when I needed, maybe I didn't utilize it or utilize all of it, but it would have been in place. So when I needed it, it would have been there. So I was continue to encourage you to do that. Here are some additional strategies for scaling your business. Replication of systems. So once you get systems in place and get structure in place, just like I was about to do with my construction business, I had my systems and my structure in place. I began to grow and I scaled, and I was approaching, about $15 million in business. And then I said I was going to go and do the same thing in another state. Okay, because I had the system, the processes down to a T, it was easily to replicate it. It's almost like franchising. I want you to think about this with your business. You should always have an extra strategy, and you should always think about, at the end of the day, if I never want to do this again, I should be able to sell this business to someone as a package, and they have no issues purchasing it. And I go on and do what I want, and I put money in my pocket. Never forget to structure your business in a way that it becomes an asset. I'm going to say that one more time because you probably missed it. Never forget to structure your business in a way that it becomes an asset. There's nothing worse than driving a car knowing that as soon as you drive it off the lot, it has just depreciated in value. That is a sure way with your business for it to depreciate, for you to never put in the structure and the systems that it needs to appreciate and grow, stand on its own, and one day be recognized as an asset. That was worth this price in gold right there. Another strategy, let me keep going, I'm running out of time. Another strategy is to locate unsaturated markets. Locate unsaturated markets. Here in Florida, especially Central Florida, it is extremely competitive. Years ago, over 20 years ago, I used to work for a drywall company. They had offices around the country. Though they had an office in Orlando, they also had an office in California, Las Vegas, Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, Omaha, Nebraska, and also Lincoln, Nebraska. And we noticed year over year that the net profits of the Orlando office were literally half of all of these other offices. So we saw them go through staffing changes, change the president out, try to operate the business better, and they did all these things to try to make things better here in Orlando. But they could never increase the numbers. And that's only because of the competition that's here in Orlando. And so you will notice that certain markets are saturated. Here in Orlando, there are certain areas of the city that are oversaturated with daycares. It's like another daycare can't get in there because they're literally next to each other down the entire street. So I want you to think about that, research that. Is your market overly saturated in a particular area? If not, great. Locate yourself in unsaturated markets so you can continue to take ownership of the market share. Also, another strategy to scale is to create relationships through local member organizations and local chambers. So maybe it's any of the local chambers. I will say join as many of them as you can so you can increase your visibility. We talked about building a backlog and a pipeline earlier, and I also gave you an example of the daycare. But those are different strategies, but timing is very, very critical. when you are doing any type of business. And so with the daycare, you don't want to launch and scale your business at the wrong time. You know that schools normally starts in August. You want to prepare to launch right before August. You don't want to launch your daycare in January. So as you're planning to scale and planning to launch different things in your business, also recognize that timing is essential for your success. Here are a few book references that I have. These are excellent books. If you join my membership, which is free, no cost to you, I have a list of all the books that I refer, not only for business, but also for personal development. It's very good. It's probably at least 30, 40 books on that list. And you can get that just by joining my membership. But Traction by Gino Wickman is a very hard read, but this book supports everything I do. It teaches you about processes and systems within your business. So start to finish, what does your day look like? What does your life cycle in your business look like? So if you have a service business, how do sales come in? Once sales come in, then what's the next process? After you complete your service, do you have a follow-up process, a post-sale process? Understanding all of that is defined in Traction. Then Scaling Up, Vern Harnish talks about how to continue to scale your business. And then E-Myth Revised is another book about understanding why it's important to have systems. You should have received an email, and in my email I provided a free Scaling Up checklist. And I believe that every business must have a strong internal system that will allow for clarity, transparency, replication, and growth. And so there are some essentials you'll see there: vision, mission statement, core values, defining your culture. What do you want your culture to be like? A list of best practices and tagline and brand promise. A business plan, strategic plan, marketing plan. And some people say, I don't know what none of this is. And I can prevent you from spending countless hours trying to Google this. Yes, you can go on Google and find a lot of this stuff and find templates, but I already created them for you, and I can help you through this process in developing them for your business or businesses. Job descriptions and evaluations. Like I said earlier, you want to make sure if you hire an employee, they know exactly what they should be doing. There are so many small businesses that have employees right now, but they don't have a job description. They have an idea what they've been hired to do, but it's not in writing. And so a person will always wonder, am I doing what I'm supposed to do? You want it to be crystal clear. Any type of policies and procedures, financial statements, all of those things. And so I give you a checklist of all the things that you should have in your business. And so if you're in the place where you say, well, Michael, I don't have all this, I don't know what to do, I have some things for you that's available, whether you want to take my online course or whether you need some one-on-one coaching to help you through each one. I have clients that I'm helping develop all of this from scratch to get them started because they want to grow fast. And so let me give you a little bit about my own scaling story. The first 5 years of my business, we did less than $1 million of revenue. And most of us start out this way. Most small businesses will never break $1 million. But in a period of 3 years, my construction business, ACY Contractors, as you can see in the Orlando Business Journal clip here, we did 572.3% growth in 3 years. We 5x in 3 years. And so at that time, we did just under 15 million. And so I want you to understand that I've done this before, and I can help you understand how to grow your business strategically and make the right steps so you don't misstep and have issues. I found out so many people start things, but they don't finish because they get tired, because they run into obstacles that they never planned for. They run into obstacles of things they didn't know. Well, I didn't know that. If I known this, I would have did that. And that's the thing about Google. You won't find those scenarios in Google. So Google may teach you how to put something together, but it won't necessarily show you how to avoid the hurdles and the challenges that come in your business. All right. And so I'm sure you can relate to one of these that maybe sometimes you look at that checklist, you're like, man, I don't have the time to put all this together. Or you may be an individual that you're a do-it-yourselfer, and you say, you know what, I can do all of this myself. I just need some direction. I just need just kind of a blueprint, and I can do this. And I just want to tell you that regardless of where you are, I have a way to help you get what you need. So maybe you don't have the time and you need some do-it-yourself services. So maybe you need myself and my team to help you get those things done and just give it to you. Or you may be in the place where you're like, I like to save a little money, so I'd rather do it myself. Or maybe you're not pressed for time and you don't need it right away, and you're saying, I have time for this, so I can work on it myself and save some money. Regardless of where you are, I want to let you know that I can help you in any area. It's just important that you get help. One thing I recognize in my life, I have not attained any level of success without someone helping me. I have not attained any level of success without someone helping me. But I want to ask you, do you want to go fast or do you want to go slow? Meaning, what's your travel preference? You want to walk to California or you want to fly? So I want you to think about that in your business process and scaling your business. How important is it for you? Maybe you're just starting your business, you're just getting it off the ground. Do you need it to grow right away, or do you have some time? You're like, I'm still working another job full time, and this is kind of my hobby right now, so I have some time. Or maybe you're in the position where you're like, no, I'm in the business right now, and I got to get this structure in place right now. I have one client that said, Michael, I need you right now. I can't do this stuff. Found out that the client has a certain personality type, which is not really inherently structural. That person is a more outgoing person, not more of a system type of person in the details and the weeds. And that person needed some help. So I came alongside of them where they needed help. Some people can just watch some videos and say, hey, just give me the videos and I can do it myself, because they're very technical and they understand how to put things together. Wherever you are, I just want to let you know that I can help you. And so let me give you some more. I know we're running out of time. I have about another, 15 minutes to complete the webinar. Hope you're hanging in with me. If you're still hanging in with me, just drop a 1. Let me know you're still there. Hey, I'm still here with you. I hope you're finding some value from this content. But let me give you some more information. All right, just drop a 1 in the chat if you're still hanging in with me. I want to give you some more information. This is one of my best practices. It's in all of my organizations. If it is not in writing, it does not exist. I learned this from an older gentleman when I was a lot younger, in my 20s, and I was working for a company. His name was Fred Ayers, and he used to say all the time, Michael, if it's not in writing, it does not exist. And I never forgot that a day in my life, and never will. And I want you to take hold of that best practice and apply it to your business. You may state things, you may tell people things, but just know people forget, intentionally and unintentionally. People may misunderstand what you said, or maybe you intended to say it one way and they received it another way. But when it is in writing, that information should be clearer than what you said with your words. So clearly define your expectations. And so as you can see a picture on the screen, the Employment Policies and Procedures Manual, so many small businesses don't even have this. This tells you and tells your employees exactly how you want your entire operation to function. But some people, want to state all the expectations. I want you to be in the office at 8 a.m. and I want you to do this. And, if you drive one of the fleet vehicles, you can and cannot do this. And they'll speak about all the expectations, but they won't tell about the benefits. And I think I'm going to do something on social media to talk about benefits, because you want to set up your business so people can identify it as this is one of the best places to work. You want employees or people to come work with you that love coming to work with you. Yes, they love being there. Have you ever been at a job and you're like, man, I can't wait to go home? You don't want your staff and your employees to feel that way. So clearly define expectations, but also the benefits of them working there. Some other things that we want to make sure we put in writing, because it's easy to overlook, and that's why we really push you to think about your vision, think about your mission statement, your core values, the culture of your organization, because those are differentiators. What makes you different, especially in a saturated market? What makes your business different than anyone else's? Why should a person hire you or buy from you? Is your product or service better than someone else's that's right down the street? Or is it just because they like you? That means that person bought or purchased from you because they like you and not necessarily your product or service. What are the differentiators? And so I help to get you to the place to start seeing that if you can't see that on your own. Identify specific marketing. Your marketing strategy is not just posting on social media. That's not a marketing strategy. Marketing strategies drill down to understand market sectors, segments, understanding what areas, targets, what does that target look like? How much do they spend? How much will they buy? Will they potentially be repeat customers? And how should you pursue them? Should it be only through social media? Or maybe it needs to be through snail mail, or maybe it needs to be through organizations, or maybe it needs to be through personal relationships. That is a marketing strategy. So developing those strategies of how you're going to find and identify your target. Okay, I hope that was helpful, because that was a lot of information. Let's go to the next slide. Let's talk about top grading. And for many people, many businesses, this is very, very new concept. So as you can see on the bottom of my slide, I have a copy of a job description. This is actually one of the templates that you can receive if you sign up for my course or my program. You can receive one of these templates to create your own job description for any amount of employees that you have. What's really, really important is that you do top grading with all of your employees. What does that mean? You grade them. You literally grade them. First, you have to identify what you expect from them. If you never communicated to them what you expect from them, then how can you actually hold them accountable to it? That's so unfair. Don't hold people accountable for what you didn't properly communicate. Ooh, that was good. Yeah, don't hold people accountable for things you never properly communicated. Well, I thought I said no. Was it in writing? Did you clearly sit down and explain to them, this is the way, this is the process, and this is the benefit? Did you really teach them that? Then once you've done that, then if they are not performing, you can grade them. Whether they're A employee, B employee, C employee, D or F. You can number these evaluations in a way to identify, is this a great employee? Most people want to know, should I keep this person? Do I need to find someone else that's better? Well, if you grade them, if you grade them based on the same grading that you would do for any other employee, then you know it's fair. That's a whole nother issue. Then you know it's fair. But if you grade them, then you know exactly whether or not you should keep them, let them go, or maybe you need to train them. Give you an example. Any D or F employee, you need to fire. You need to let go. You need to release. You need to tell them gracefully, there is something better out there for you, and I encourage you to explore that. But this is probably not the best place for you. If you want to grow and scale, you can only grow and scale with A and B graded employees. If you really want to scale and grow, you can only scale and grow with A and B graded employees. Now you say, well, what about the C graded employees? You have to ask this question. All right, this is a bonus for you. You have to ask this question. Are they capable? That's number one. Number two, are they willing? Are they capable? Do they have the intellect? Do they have the capacity? Are they willing? Do they want to learn? Do they want to grow? Maybe there's some areas that they're ignorant to, or they're not savvy with that software program, but they want to. So if that's the case, if they are both willing and capable, you can package training around that individual to help get them to an A or B. But if you ever discover after you package the training around them, maybe they really weren't capable, or maybe they really weren't willing. Do you understand? All right, I hope that helps somebody. But that's why it's important to do evaluations, to provide feedback to those employees about every 6 months. I would encourage no longer than that. Some companies do evaluations every 3 months. It shouldn't be scary. It's a way to get feedback, for you to provide feedback to them and them to provide feedback to you. There may be some areas in your business that you can improve, but because you never had that communication with that employee, you never discovered the things that they are seeing and noticing. So it's important to get that feedback from your employees and to listen to what they have to say. And I have some more. Let me give you this since we're running out of time. But talent development focused around how people interact interpersonally. We do something that's called DISC assessments, and the DISC assessment is an acronym that starts for DISC, and that's D is for dominant, I is for inspiring, C is for cautious, and S is for supportive. And as you can see, I have a graph, and this is one of my current clients. And in this business, the majority of the employees are I's, but then there's a D and then there's a C. And so if you look at the graph, you see almost everyone is at the top, and you have this CS personality at the bottom. So it's very apparent that that person probably feels alone, just because their personality type is like no one else's in the organization. So how do you navigate that? So that's what I do. I help my clients understand, okay, let's put some coaching and some training around how all of the I's, the ID, the ISD, the IS, how do you navigate? Especially they're fast paced. How do you navigate a CS, somebody that's slow paced, somebody that's quiet, that's reserved, and you're outgoing. You're people oriented. They're not. They're task oriented. So now I help my clients to understand how to better communicate, how to better interact with one another based on personalities. Also, there may be some training programs you need to do around software, customer service, communications, how to write an email. You'll be surprised how many people do not know how to communicate correctly, even through email. So all of that I provide as a service, and I help my clients with that. And I want to help you because I'm sure these are areas that you want to continue to grow, you want to continue to develop. And as an entrepreneur and wanting your business to grow, I know as much as you want to just focus on that product or service, it is essential. I'm going to say this again. It is essential for you to focus not just in your business, but on your business. Yeah. What do I mean by that? it's essential for you to work on your business and not just in your business if you're going to grow and scale. And if you're going to keep it for a hobby, that's one thing. But if you're saying, you know what, I'm serious about my business, I want it to grow, I want it to be an asset, I want it to provide freedom and financial freedoms for my family, I want to be able to leave it for, my child or grandchild, or be able to sell it one day, whatever that is for you. You want to ensure that it's set up in a way that you work on the business, so it's structured in the way that you can do these things. And so you can scan that QR code to get any updates. Join my membership that I have. I do have other offers that are available, but I just want to hear from you. If there's some things that you want to know more about, I want to hear from you. You can always drop it in the chat. I do have offers. I do have a course that's available, whether you want to do an online course or whether you want more information. I want you to just reach out to me via email and I can send that information to you. My online course covers so much stuff. It's going to give you A to Z for your business. So whether it's dealing with your, as I stated earlier, whether it's dealing with helping you with your vision statement, mission statement, core values, best practices, differentiators, putting together your marketing plan, doing SWOT analysis. Some people don't understand how to do that or what that is. Identifying your current targets, diversifying your client base, doing business development tasks and strategic partnerships, and showing you how maybe your business may need to acquire another business in order to continue to grow and scale, and top grading and recruiting. That's really, really important. And so I have all of that available for you, but you may be in a place where you say, I need that, or maybe you say, you know what, I'm not ready for that right now. Just join my free membership. There's a lot of personal development things in there for you. You can learn more about your purpose and how to get connected with your purpose through your gifts, your skills, and those solutions that you discovered over time, and then how to leave a legacy for your family. So I have all that kind of stuff that's out there for you. And you can learn more about that. So if you're interested in any of that, you can reach out to me or just go back to our page or enter the emails. Make sure you whitelist our emails so they don't go into spam, and you'll see more follow-up things coming your way. So listen, it was a pleasure to have you on the webinar. This is all my time, but I hope that you gain some insight, some valuable information. Listen, if you did gain valuable information, please do me a favor. Shout me out. Tell somebody else you need to get with Michael D. Young, because he's giving out so much information. And I have so much more. I just want to help other people like me continue to grow. I believe it's imperative for folks in our communities to continue to grow, to have an impact, leave legacy for our families. And I want to see you achieve success. I want to see you win. And so if I can do anything to help you, please feel free to reach out. Okay. So God bless you, and you have a blessed week, and we'll see you on the next one.